What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Nation Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Malott. We're glad to have a guest tonight that's kind of by request. We did one of these with Cole Sykes. It was the first one a couple weeks ago, and I asked for nominees to come on here for some of the next couple episodes, and this guy came up quick, and he came up a lot. Bryan Howell out of Texas. Bryan, thanks for taking the time to jump on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I got a little bit of your bio, and we'll get into some of that. I mean, I'm going to go over some of your wins or even near wins this year, but you're the KBF regional champ. Came in second at the TOC qualifier down there at Lake Fork. You've got 5 other top threes, if I have that right. You've had a huge year. It's all in Texas, right?
Yeah, I haven't really been outside of Texas this year fishing.
And the crazy thing is, you just moved there.
Yeah, I've been here a little over a year, like a year and maybe 2 weeks, something like that.
Right. So you came from Los Angeles to Dallas, so 2 big major metro areas. How'd that happen? What got you all the way over to Texas from California?
I was just kind of tired of California. The cost of living's really high. The traffic's really bad. The lakes are small, and they've really got a lot of rules. Like you can't be out there after dark, and
what? Oh wow!
Yeah, you can't be out on the water before sunrise or after sunset. So it's like it's annoying, and it's just kind of rules that don't really make sense to me. Like you go to Texas and you can go out on the water whenever you want for free, but there it's like $24 to launch, and you have to only launch at this one launch ramp. It's kind of annoying.
Wow. Is that just like LA, or is that California in general, the state Game and Fish?
I'd say probably more like Southern California. Northern California doesn't seem as bad, but Southern California, they're real strict on the rules. And it's like public lakes. So people will talk, I've talked about them with other people from other states, and they're like, oh, well, it's private water, right? I'm like, no, it's a public lake. It's just the county wants to run it that way. They don't really see it as anything but a drinking water resource, and
wow, so that's
anything else, like whatever.
You probably felt like you landed in heaven when you got to Texas then.
Yeah, it definitely feels like I belong in Texas. That's where I got here, and I was like, wow, this is like way matches my lifestyle a lot better.
Yeah. Now, how did you settle on that? I know we talked before we started recording, but you can tell us about your job if you want. You said you're self-employed, but how'd you settle on Dallas? Did the fishing play a part, or did that just become a side deal?
The fishing definitely played a part. It was there was a few other options that I had, but I had to go somewhere that my fiance would be happy about moving to. She didn't want to move to certain other states, so it was like we had Texas, like Dallas mainly, and like Washington State, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool up there, but the bass fishing's not quite as good up there, I would say.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, and then it was like, where in Texas? Well, Dallas is close to Lake Fork, and all these other lakes are within a few hours. Like, all right, let's move there. It was kind of like we got to pick, really.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you couldn't pick a better place. I mean, Dallas is happening. We go down there a lot for my wife's business, and just surrounded by good water. Now, the thing is, you just got there. You said you just started kayak fishing, but I'm assuming that you didn't just start fishing.
No.
Just the kayak fishing is a new deal. Tell us a little bit about your fishing background.
I'd say I've been serious about fishing for maybe 10 or 11 years, something like that. Before that, yeah, I'd go with my grandpa when I was young and everything, but I'd say maybe when I was around 15, 14, something like that, that's when I started going, like, either by myself, like my parents would, well, not really by myself, but like with my friends, my parents or my friends' parents would drop us off at the lake, and we go down the shore fish. And then eventually I worked up to float tubing. Like I just randomly decided to buy a float tube off eBay. I don't know if you know what that is.
Oh yeah, definitely. They do that in Arkansas. There's guys around here that do it.
Okay, well, yeah, I had a float tube, and I float tubed for years and years. I fished some tournaments out of the float tube. They have some down at the lake I used to fish. They have 3 a year down there at that lake.
How's that work? How do they do that compared to a kayak tournament?
So what they do is they have weigh boats. So they'll have boats on the lake, and they'll come around and like you whistle or you get their attention somehow, and they come over and they'll weigh your fish and then release it right then. So it's definitely different than the kayak deal, but
Yeah, that's cool though. I bet that was kind of fun, a little different.
yeah, it's definitely fun. And I mean, it's only something that can really work on like a small body of water. You know, like the
Right.
kayak tournament. There's no way they could ever do that just because the lakes are way too big. But down there, the water, that lake was only about 200 acres, so you
Sure.
could pretty much cover the whole thing with 10, 20 boats maybe.
So you moved to Texas, snagged a kayak, and said, "Here we go." How in the world did you just jump in like that and have been able to do so much damage already on some of these trails? Was there a technique or something you learned in California that transferred, carried with you to Texas, or you just had a run of good luck? Tell us a little bit about that.
I'd say in California, I fished a lot of grass. The lake that I fished, that 200-acre one, there's not very much structure at all besides grass. There's a little bit of rock, and there's no real points. It's kind of like a bowl with grass up in the north end. So you learn to fish grass like super well if you want to do well on that lake. So I just kind of there's a lot of grassy lakes out here in Texas,
Oh, okay, so it
and
was
a lot of
perfect,
rocky
right?
lakes, like not rocky, but like riprap and stuff like that,
Sure.
So it kind of transferred over because
Okay.
that's
So it was
things.
right in your wheelhouse when you got here. Then you were ready for that.
Yeah, the big difference was the water clarity and like more heavy cover like stumps, laydowns, all that stuff. There's like very little laydowns, stumps, anything like that in Southern California, almost none.
Right. So this suited your eye at least when you got here to Dallas. I say here when you got there to Dallas. It kind of suited your eye and suited what you wanted to do. So that's awesome. I mean, everybody knows that Texas, especially Dallas Fort Worth area, but all the way down to Austin, is loaded with guys that have done very well at national events. I mean, Texas is kind of its own pro series almost. As many guys tournaments that are there and as many good anglers. I mean, just in Dallas, you can just list off guys like Guillermo, Matt Scotch, Pendergraph, Jason O'Brien. I can go on and just keep
Oh
listing
yeah,
guys that can really fish, and you just jumped right in there and went toe to toe with them and have had success. I mean, and I'm sure they've accepted you right in because I got a bunch of good messages about how we needed to interview you. So, have you enjoyed that community there in Dallas Fort Worth?
yeah. The community is awesome. All the guys are real friendly, and it's real. I mean, it's really competitive. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a lot of good sticks, so it's very competitive. But everyone still at the same times. Like they'll help you out if you need help with something. You need help loading your kayak. They'll help you out if you lost your hog trough or broke it or whatever. Someone's gonna probably be there and be able to loan you one. Anything, they're gonna always be able to help you. And it's very friendly but competitive at the same time.
Sure. And you fish the North Texas Championships, right? So Duke runs those, and he runs a tight ship, so it's always fun to fish an event he's running.
Oh yeah, those ones are real competitive. I mean, you have some of the best guys in Texas fishing those always. And I've done I last year I didn't do all of them, but I did as many as I could basically, and I got third at one of them. So that was kind of like when I started first getting into the groove of things here, and I felt like okay, I'm kind of learning and getting used to the different type of fishing and everything.
So this one year of obviously having a blast doing it, what's been your favorite event so far?
I would say either the Hobie event. Well, there's too many good events, honestly, because the Hobie event was really great. It was really well ran, and I mean the prizes and everything were excellent. The money for top, I think, what they pay like I don't know whatever they paid, it was good payout. And then they had like a couple weeks ago the Lone Star Throwdown, which is basically like everyone in Texas competes
Right.
and like you compete for a different region, whatever region you want, kind of deal. And each region like will try to win first place overall. And then there's also the individual awards for that. I didn't do very good in that, but I mean it was still a really fun tournament. And there was probably 150, 160 guys all from all over Texas that come to compete against
I saw a
everyone
bunch of
else in
pics
Texas.
from that. It looked wild. It looked like a great time.
Yeah, it was definitely a great time for that one. So I mean that's not even the only one that was a good time too. There was an hourly big bass tournament. thrown by Tall Timber Outdoors in East Texas, and like you could pick 3 different lakes for that one, and that was really fun too because it was a different kind of feel because it was a big bass tournament, like hourly, so you kind of had to time when you want to submit your fish, and you were kind of fishing for bigger fish versus just fishing for a limit, and that was
fun.
It was different.
If you time that right, you can make some good money that day. If you can just hold some fish for the day.
Yeah, I made $300. Was it 300? I think it was. Yeah, it was $300, and it was just like it was like a nice 19.5-inch fish. But I mean, in a normal tournament, you're not gonna get paid for that, you know.
Right. But if watching those hourlies, that's pretty.
But the hourly, yeah. I was like, okay, only one fish has been submitted this hour that's bigger than mine. I'll submit and get second place big bass for the hour.
So now it kind of makes sense why you did so good going to Texas. You know, you're talking about the grass in California and figuring that out in Texas. What's your, without giving up any secrets, what's your go-to technique for fishing that grass?
I would say either chatterbait or lipless crankbait. Those are my 2. That's like the 2 things I would reach for if I'm fishing pretty much any type of grass.
I got you. Just ripping it through the tops of the grass.
Yeah, just letting it get in there a little bit and just rip it right out. Either one. That's because I threw chatterbaits quite a bit in California, but not to the same extent I throw here. I used to throw a lot of lipless, like a ton of lipless in California because there's not so many stumps, you know.
Right.
Well, really, there's no stumps. So you come out here and you throw a lipless, and you get snagged up a lot more. It still catches a ton of fish, but you do get snagged up more. But the chatterbait will come through that stuff a little easier.
You throwing the expensive one, the jackhammer, or you've got your own little deal?
Yeah, I'll throw the jackhammer usually. I've been throwing chatterbaits since they only had the OG Z-Man out, and the jackhammer is like so much better. It's crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the truth. Everybody keeps coming with new stuff, but over and over, everybody says jackhammer's the best. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And just so you know, there is a little bit of grass in Ouachita. I don't know if you found it on the maps yet, but
that's what I've been looking for. I know one area, but like it's kind of hard to tell until you really go there. You know, you're like, oh, someone said there's grass here, and it's like, well, it kind of changes year to year, and if the water is low and whatnot. But
the problem right now is the water's low, so a lot of it is out of the water that would be.
That's what I was worried about.
So, but there's still some. You can find it. So
hopefully.
So we were talking before we started here about that. TOC, you obviously qualified. You finished second at Lake Fort. What do you think about what they put together for Hobie with this? Kind of the first, you're in this for a year, but this is really the first time there's been I would say like a Bassmasters Classic kind of event for kayak fishing where it's really only the top guys are getting in and girls. It's first of its kind, and it looks like it's really going to go well. The field is stacked. So what do you think about being a part of that?
It's intimidating because you see and you look at like who's registered for it, and it's definitely all the people that you hear about consistently that consistently are winning tournaments or placing, top 5 at everything. But at the same time, it's like an honor, because like, oh wow, I'm competing against these guys that have probably been doing it quite a bit longer than I have, and I'm just coming in here, and it's my first year kayak fishing, so it's crazy.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, for this event to pay out the kind of money it's going to pay out for only 50 anglers, it's pretty good odds. So it's anybody's game, really. It seems like all these national tournaments, I don't know if you pay attention to some of them, but it's always an out-of-towner that wins just about. I mean, like national championships, the others, it's somebody from out of town that gets it done. So, I don't. Everybody thinks the locals have the advantage, but I think it's anybody's game this week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, definitely. It's just sometimes I do feel locals have an advantage, but it all depends on the conditions and what's happening and all that.
Just like Lake Fork. I mean, you just moved there. Matt Ramey was all the way from New Mexico.
Yeah.
So, and you guys, went toe to toe, putting up big limits, which was awesome to see.
Yeah. For the Hobie tournament, I think it was only like my third time on the lake too, because I don't know, I didn't fish Fork. I mean, I only live an hour from Fork, but I hadn't fished it at all pretty much that year until 2-3 weeks before that tournament.
What's your favorite lake down there? I'm
Fork.
sure it is. Okay.
Yeah.
What about any other ones around Dallas you really like?
Yeah, there's a few other ones. There's one. I mean, I like the East Texas lakes most, but there's one that's more of it's a small lake and people don't really know about it too much. I'm not gonna say much more
That's
than
fine.
that.
You dropped it. You can just send me a DM after. I live way up here. I'm not going to tell anybody. No.
I mean, the fishing's just so good in East Texas, I would say specifically. It's just insane. You can just go to any lake pretty much and have a shot at catching a 9, 10, 11 pounder, you know? It's
Right.
crazy.
My son is he's in the Air Force. He's stationed in Shreveport.
Yeah.
So he's been over to Toledo Bend and some of those lakes right there on the east side, and I need to get down there and fish with him.
Yeah, those lakes are definitely fun. I've been to Caddo, Toledo Bend, Rayburn. All those lakes are real fun.
So next year, 2020, it'll be here before we know it after the TOC's over. Do you plan on getting out of Texas and traveling a little bit? I mean, like I said, you don't really have to. Texas is full of huge events, but
Yeah, that's the thing, because for this year, it was like I kind of wanted to go out and travel, but it was like, why when there was tournaments here pretty much every single weekend almost? I was like, oh, do I want to go to drive to Alabama to go fish this tournament, or should I just fish this other local tournament? It'll be cheaper to fish the local tournament, and I don't have to worry, taking extra days off or driving out there and all that.
I mean, it makes sense. What is that bass boat series they have there? Bass Champs.
Yeah,
Uh, it's basically its own pro circuit right there in the state, so there's plenty of
yeah,
options for kayaks.
yeah.
I know Hobie's coming back to Fort. It's going to be a lot earlier this year, which will be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a lot different. I feel different, way different conditions.
Yeah,
And,
I'm sure you'll be there, right?
I'm pretty sure I'll be there. There's another local tournament that day, and it's like I wanted to fish that and kind of compete for Angler of the Year, but
Oh yeah, I see.
like, but the Hobie tournament, it's like a bigger tournament. And I know people will expect me to fish that because I finished it last year and I got second place last year. It's kind of like why would you not go to it kind of deal, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know. I want to fish that. And I do want to fish some of the other Hobie tournaments next year. That's what I plan to do. I kind of want to go to Seminole and what other one? I think I want to go to the Mississippi River one and maybe like one other one.
Have you ever been up there to look to that lacrosse?
No, I was thinking about going for the KBF, all those championships,
Sure.
the trail, all those.
I went up there earlier this year. It's the only time I've been, and let me tell you, it's worth the trip. It's a pretty awesome place to fish.
That's what everyone says. So it's like I've been looking at it and thinking about it. I'm like, man, I really want to go up there sometime. I'm like, maybe next year's will be the time. So I was thinking about going there this year for the thing, like I said, but it's a lot of money and gas and a
Yeah.
lot of time, and the weather was gonna be real cold. And I mean, I'm from California, like I don't do that good in cold weather.
Yeah, man, I don't blame you. And I tell you, it's if you look on the map up there, it looks big, but it's way bigger than you think when you put your eyes on it. But there's
Yeah.
tons of grass and lily pads and all that kind of stuff up there, so you probably really enjoy it.
Yeah, it looks awesome. And I think that the Hobie one's in like July. It
Right.
should be like prime frogging, and
Oh yeah, perfect weather.
yeah, it should be insane.
Probably be a relief from the Texas heat to go up there. It'd be nice.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, it's gonna be real hot in Texas in July. So if I go up there, probably be a little bit cooler, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of events, like I said, in Texas. There's going to be plenty of national events next year to fish. Uh, be watching your phone tomorrow. There's some big news dropping tomorrow about some more big events that are going to be available to us. I'm hoping there's going to be one in Texas or close to Arkansas, so that I can get
I
to
think
it.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. It's the worst kept secret in kayak fishing, I think. It's been going
Yeah.
around. But it's exciting. It's cool to have all these options because I think it's going to drive everyone to get better at what they're doing and give us
Yeah.
more options to get out there and fish and try to win a little bit of money.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
so I don't want to keep you too long. I told you to keep you. We talked like 20 minutes or so. We've been on here a bit. Is there anything that you're looking forward to the most as far as getting over to TOC or fishing that new lake? Have you done any research yet? Or are you just going to go down and go in blind pre-fishing?
I've done some research. I'm still researching. Honestly, I don't because it's nice to research way ahead of time. I'm like, kittens over here trying to jump on my lap. But I did some research already, but I kind of want to wait. Like, I researched, but I don't want to research too much because I feel like I'll forget a lot of it, you know?
I got you.
So I kind of researched going into it a few days ahead of time before I started pre-fishing. Like, I do a little bit right now, but it's going to be something definitely different than I've ever fished compared to the stuff out here in Texas or in California.
Sure.
It's kind of like, seems like a mix between California lakes and Texas lakes a little bit. More steep banks.
Yeah, a lot of rocks, a lot of trees, and
a lot of.
It's it'll be fun for you, man. I think everybody's gonna have a blast. I'm heading down next week. I'll see you there, hopefully, and can shake your hand and introduce myself in person. I know, like I said, we fished that one event together, but I didn't get to really visit with you that day. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you probably got some other stuff to do. We're going to jump on the World Series here in just a minute, but I'll have this up on the page and on our social media pretty soon. And if you guys are watching this, you can check us out on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or you can catch the video on YouTube later. But Bryan, I sure appreciate your time, man, and have a good night and good luck next week in Arkansas.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Good luck to you too.